Welcome to the channel, everybody. So today we are going to be continuing our pursuit of Paragon with Act 7.1.5. Now this is another one of those ones where you're going to have three different possible bosses. The boss that we chose for this is going to be Punishing Angel, and we'll talk about her more in just a moment. She is a cross between Punisher and Angela, so interesting mix there. But let's go ahead and take a look at the team I chose and then discuss the path, who you're going to be facing, what the nodes are, and then eventually that Punishing Angel boss. So right off the bat here, we did go with a primarily skill-based team. The only person on the team not skill is Magneto. Our biggest person for this entire match was going to be Nick Fury. Falcon was definitely our backup, and Magneto was brought in for the boss node because she is a skill champion. So let's go ahead and look at the nodes here and talk about why we brought in that team. The path nodes include Energy, Adaption, Fire. The defender has a 50% chance to inflict Incinerate every time that they are hit or if they hit into your block. Now, if they are bleeding, they will not inflict an Incinerate. Main reason why Falcon and Nick Fury are going to be two big key factors here. Also on top of that, they are immune to any Incinerate debuffs. But if you were to place an Incinerate debuff on them, they actually start regenerating 1% of their health per second for every second that the Incinerate debuff is active. Next, they have Poison, which allows them to inflict a poison upon you for every 7 seconds that continues in the match. Now, with these two things being said, you would think that an Incinerate immune champion and a Poison immune champion would be more so what you're looking for. But after that, you also have to keep in mind that they are bleed vulnerable, which means that the defender is bleeding, your attack rating pushes up 200%. So not only does the bleed cancel out the ability for them to inflict an Incinerate, but also on top of that, it also increases your attack if you've got them bleeding. Lastly is the most important one on why our team is primarily skill, which is Shake It Off. Now, with Shake It Off, skill champions have the ability to purify any debuffs that are placed upon them by dashing backwards. You remove one every time you dash back. If you will dash back multiple times, you can clear all debuffs off yourself. Somebody like a Nick Fury who already has a Purify in his kit, combined with Shake It Off, and the effect of how much bleed damage he does, is absolutely wonderful for this fight. Again, the reason why we brought in Falcon for backup is, again, he has high bleed damage and is that skill champion to take advantage of the Shake It Off. As we go through the path, you'll see we make it through almost everybody except for Yellow Jacket before we actually even lose Nick Fury, and that had more to do with the fact that we'd already taken a pretty good beating out of Symbiote Supreme than going into the Yellow Jacket fight itself. If we hadn't taken such a beating there, we could have probably cleared Yellow Jacket 100%. Now, speaking of Yellow Jacket, on the pass here, you are going to be looking at Hood, followed by Invisible Woman, Vulture, Abomination, Symbiote Supreme, who I'd already mentioned, and then Yellow Jacket, who is actually the mini-boss that is causing all the links on to everybody. Now, once you get past Yellow Jacket, here is when we are going to talk about that first of the three bosses that are possible for this level. Now, like I said, this is Punishing Angel. She is a combination of Punisher and Angela. Now, she has a few interesting things in her kit. Obviously, right off the bat, she's got the regen that Angela has and all of the extra buffs that Angela gets on a regular basis. And then she has similar attacks to Punisher. Plus, on top of that, she gets that last moment indestructible that Punisher gets normally to give her that little extra bit at the end. So once you get her down to that last 1%, tag her one time, kick off the indestructible, back off, wait for that timer to run out, and then get in there, punch her one more time, and you're done. Not the biggest of deals, but considering the difficulty that this fight can be, it will be one of those things that you need to be aware of and that you want to keep in mind, that just because you do that last punch does not mean that it's going to take her down if you haven't gotten through that that indestructible phase. Now, for the nodes that she has on her, first off, she has Mercy. Every time you dex an attack, you will gain a Mercy charge. If you parry one of her attacks, you'll transfer those Mercy charges onto her. Now, if she doesn't have a Mercy charge on her, she will actually lose. Now, if she doesn't have a Mercy charge on her, she will actually have an 80% reduction to all damage. So it is important to have those Mercy charges being consistently transferred over to her, because she will also be able to remove those Mercy charges quickly for multiple reasons. Number one, because of the fact that once every 1.5 seconds, she automatically removes them. But now she also has Mighty Charge, which means that if she does a medium attack, she'll purify any debuffs that are on her anyways. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Then she also has Extend on her, so any buffs that she inflicts upon herself or debuffs that she inflicts upon you have an additional 150% duration. So those are going to be lasting longer, and if you know Angela well enough, you know that she has really good regen anyways, and it's got a decent timer on it, so you got to be careful because she's going to be regenning constantly. She also has Power Buildup. Now, every time she reaches 2 bars of power, she is going to gain a Prowess charge. Now, now those Prowess charges, if she reaches 10 of them because of the Power Overflow node, she will turn around and her specials will become unblockable. This is where baiting that special 1 is going to be important. That way you can keep her under those 2 bars of power at all times and go ahead and walk through her. Now, as I said, we did bring in Magneto for this fight, and I do fully believe, in spite of the fact that it didn't go well for us, that Magneto is the perfect counter for her. She is a #metal champion, so that does give you an advantage. The thing that is a problem, and I thought I figured it out in this one, but I've done so many recordings, it's one of those things that this wasn't the one. There is one coming up soon where I finally realized why I've been playing Magneto wrong for so long. Obviously, the important thing is to build up his prowess charges, get to the SP3, do the SP3 at 33 or more prowess charges. If it doesn't finish them instantly, they will pretty much guaranteedly bleed out and you can be done with them. But the thing about it is what I have been doing wrong consistently, and we'll talk about it more when I actually start getting it right, because I will start getting it right in a future video. What you need to do is get your SP3 built up first and then focus on getting the charges built up. Because once you have those charges built up and are able to instantly launch that SP3, then you're in that position that you want to be in. But if you're trying to maintain those charges and get your special meter up, you're fighting a losing battle, because half the time you're losing the charges or you catch a hit that you don't mean to, and that could bite you really hard. So let's go ahead and get into the path here. Like I said, most of these fights are going to go very quickly and very simply. They're fairly straightforward, but let's go ahead and look and see what did go right and what did go wrong, and talk about the biggest fight of them all, Punishing Angel, and where we could have made better on that. So like I said here, we brought in Nick Fury right off the bat here. Fairly straightforward fight. We are going to take a bit of damage here, but we do not get into our true Nick Fury form by any means on this fight. And what we will end up doing is healing up what damage we took. As you can see there, he is just constantly purifying those debuffs, be it from his own natural ability or just from every time we dash back here. Now, the other nice thing here too is I do have the Valkyrie relic on, so she does a little bit of work for us and helps keep Nick from going into that true Nick Fury form. We do, like I said, heal up a few different times here just to keep him in that true Nick Fury form, just to keep him in that LMD form as long as possible. Now, obviously, we do more damage in the true Nick Fury form, but at the same time, we're trying to get him to carry us through most of the fights. And once he gets into that true form, then, we can't have him above 30% health, and that can be a risk in itself. Now, you see here, we got pretty close against Invisible Woman, but still ended up pulling it out without slipping into the true LMD, into the true Nick Fury form. So we went on to the Vulture fight here. Again, this is another one that went fairly straightforward. There were a couple small times that he caught us here, but he didn't do too much damage to us. So we were able to go ahead and walk through this one fairly well. There's not too many fights left after this one. The Abomination fight, obviously, we're going to have class advantage for, and that is going to be a fairly decent factor here. It's also nice being able to constantly purify any debuffs that he puts on us. Because as you know, Abomination, though he's not as good as Immortal Abomination, does have the ability to constantly put poison on you, and with the effect that the poison benefits from the path node, you could end up with quite a few stacks of poison on you, and if you're not purifying those well enough, that could really eat into your health. We were able to get through him and on to Symbiote Supreme here. Now, like I said, Symbiote Supreme here was the first one that cost us any real amount of damage and actually ended up pushing us into the true Nick Fury form. That is going to be a slight factor on the upcoming fights, but not as big as it needed to be truthful with you. Obviously, we have the options of a couple different skill champions if we need them. Now, you see here, we got onto Yellow Jacket. We took most of his health down real easy, but we are in the true Nick Fury form, so we don't have a lot of health to work with, and one slip up here is all it's going to take. As a matter of fact, there it is. So we did go ahead and bring in Falcon as the backup. Obviously, again, he does have that bleed, and on top of that, being a skill champion gives us quite a bit to work with there. You see me constantly purifying those debuffs, trying to keep that lock on him so that we can go ahead and bleed him down quicker. But it did take us a few moments. We still ended up getting him without having to revive anyone, and that was looking really good, and I thought set us up tremendously for the Punishing Angel fight. Again, here you'll see I'm constantly working towards getting those prowess charges up, just because of the fact that we're trying to get up above 30 of those, and if we're able to do that, that makes things really easy, because then, like I said, the special 3. The problem is I was doing that in reverse order. Like I said, we weren't pushing the SP3 as much as we should have been, so that we could go ahead and get in there and instantly do that prowess. Now, we tried to come in here and do it just a second time and go right off and pull it off. But again, you see repeatedly here, you see me trying to get those prowess charges up long before I have the SP3 ready. Now, we did end up walking through far too many resources on this particular fight, because once I had a couple bad goes with Magneto, and instead of realizing what my problem was, I just started rotating through the whole team and going for as much damage as possible. Now, I'm going to forewarn you here, we're going to get her down to about 61% health, and then all of a sudden, the next fight that you see, we're going to be part of the way into, and she's going to be down to 31% health. We got about a 30% of her health that just isn't on footage here. I had an issue during recording that I did not catch on to until we were, like I said, about 30% of the way into her health there. Just want to be completely transparent on that, because I always try to make sure that you guys see the entire fights. Especially these days. There were some times early on in my editing that we didn't necessarily do that nearly as much. But with the latest fights, and especially with the fact of being able to get these sped up properly, that gives me the ability to make sure that even if I have several bad encounters with a champion, you guys can still see those fights in a timely manner and still watch me go through them fairly well. Like I said here, we just kind of rotated through the whole entire roster over and over again, thinking that, eventually we're going to find a good answer. Now, what we do end up doing is finding out that Black Widow did the origin, and Nick Fury were working for us well enough to go ahead and get her most of the way down. Now, that being said, like I said, you just saw that spot there where we jumped from having her at just over 60% health to just over 30% health, and we completely missed out on the middle of those fights. So there were a few revives in there, but for the most part, we were just chunking her away because my plan with Magneto just wasn't working the way I planned to. My fault completely. Not a bad plan. Like I said, not understanding the best way to use Magneto made a huge difference. Now you can see here she's all but down, and we're going to bring in Nick Fury here. Took her down to that 1%. You see that indestructible triggering, and we just back off, wait for that to come off, slide in there, and instantly kick her for the final finish. And that's what it took, and how we got through Act 7.1.5 to open up Act 7.1.6, which will put us one chapter down out of our 4 in our pursuit of Paragon. Absolutely love it, guys. We're making some great progress here. We're getting the channel growing great. I appreciate every single one of you. I want to make sure that everybody is taking a chance to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely helps the channel out quite a bit, and I definitely want to keep bringing these guides to you guys. I will do that over the next few weeks. The schedule continues to be as this. We push out a Cavalier episode followed by a Paragon episode, and we alternate the two. Sometimes we'll have other videos that come out along with them. Like earlier today, we did go ahead and buy the Adam Warlock pre-release bundle and open 10 of those crystals. Then we've always got a crystal opening on Monday. We've got the lives on Sunday. So stay tuned. If we're not quite to where you're at, or we're a little bit further, go ahead and check out what we've got out, and we will have the corresponding episodes coming up very soon. We do have the Uncollected and the Thronebreaker series is completely finished on the channel. The Cavalier and the Paragon series are being worked on right now. Crystal openings every Monday, which from now on will be a featured 6-star champions. We are going to open no one but featured 6 stars until we get through these next 3 months, because I want my 6-star Wolverine. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you on the next episode tomorrow. That one will be, like I said, part of the Cavalier series. We'll see you back for the live stream on Sunday, and we'll see you back for the crystal openings on Monday. I hope everybody's having a great week, had great luck, and I hope you guys are progressing, because we are getting closer and closer to July 4th, and those deals are going to be worth it. Make sure you're getting that higher title between now and then, because they will make a difference on what you can get. I'll see you guys back for the next one. Peace out.